This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon, Arc Date 2015-5-13, 4 months till the 29th of Elul in Shemitah. I want to talk about God's working in men's lives, specifically leaders. There was I don't have all the dates and facts and all the details at the top, my fingertips off the top of my head, but I heard a sermon one time, a message by a man named Earl Jones, and he talked about Charles Martel and the fact that he was the 13th son of a homeschool type, a Christian family, and he was the one that through his whole life was prepared for a single solitary battle to oppose the I think it was the Turks, maybe the Muslim horde, might have been Genghis Khan, I don't remember, but I think it was they would have overrun Europe if it hadn't been for this one battle that he opposed them at. So, point being that God prepares man. Nobody else can understand what they're faced with. Nobody else can understand what their whole life is all about, and that's the way I feel that I am. The situation I am in, I can't, begin to convey to people what I feel that the Father has given me to do. But you're looking at the remnants of a really bad watch fire, what I would call a watch fire. And I think I'm going to call it, this will be under the playlist, maybe a couple playlists, but the playlist, words around a watch fire, because what I see is a time coming when there will be people on foot, refugees, and I want to make a comment. I read a quote in the book Devil's Gate about the Mormon handcart company, and one of the leaders said, the day will come when millions of people will be coming looking for refuge, searching for refuge with their children in their arms. And it will be up to the people of Zion to go out and rescue them. So I see that story, and I've talked about it before. The Mormon handcarts, especially the last two, the first three they left early enough and they got through with a lot of problems, but nothing like the last two. The third one is the least known, the Bunker Company, led by a man named Bunker. But the fourth and fifth, led by a man named Willie. The fourth one led by a man named Willie, and the fifth one led by a man named Martin. Had extreme difficulties. They faced a horrible snowstorm, and they, again, just to recount some things, they left late. They had, at the higher level, the strategic level, they had bad decisions, bad leadership. They were told to go on ahead. One of the problems was that they took a Democratic vote. This is not good. If you're in a survival situation, you need to listen to the people with leadership. The Willie Handcart Company, a man named Levi Savage, spoke out and said we should not leave at this late point in time. It was, I think August. They ended up being caught and rescued in November. They were all about 120 days getting through the journey that they had. Point being that this man, Levi Savage, knew what he was talking about, and they ignored him, and he was mocked, he was ridiculed, he was castigated, very similar to the situation that I faced, at least with family and loved ones and other people. So anyway, the point being that there's a lot of many levels, and I haven't gotten through that book yet, but they left too late. They had inadequate provisions, they had inadequate clothing, they had inadequate conveyances, their devices, their handcarts. So you look at your vehicles, are they EMP proof? No, by and large, unless you have a what was it, 74? I had a 74 Olds. I think that was about the last year that you had points and distributors and whatnot that's EMP proof. And even those get fried. You need to have an extra ignition module because that'll fry. So anyway, inadequate timing, food, supplies, clothing, shelter, all those things. Defenses, protection, probably against wolves, wild animals. Although nothing is ever mentioned on that score yet. So that's just some heads up there. So there's certain men that in history have been tasked with great jobs. And one of those is actually in my wife's lineage, the Elliott clan. The Elliots were a Highlander clan who were loyal to Robert the Bruce, and a clan was disloyal to him on the border, and the Elliots were resettled from the Highlands down onto the border. You can see that on any Scottish map. The Kerrs, the Armstrongs, and the Elliots are on the border. I think it's Kerrs, Elliots, Armstrongs, if I'm not mistaken. So what happened was they were fighters. They were Highland fighters, and they were loyal and trustworthy to be able to fight and defend the border. Well, one of the men later on in their lineage, back at the height of the Spanish Armada, the French and whatnot, George Eliot was tasked with defending Gibraltar against all the might and power of the French and the Spanish combined, and he successfully completed that task. There's a poem written about him. Against Eliot, the French and the Spanish combined are but throwing their stink pots you see from behind. That Gibraltar will stand, that the rock will stand, or that Gibraltar will stand, you can own, is no wonder, for all they are doing is but farting at thunder. And it has a caricature, a cartoon of the four French and Spanish commanders with their butts bared facing Gibraltar, basically throwing excrement at the gigantic rock above them. And it was a long drawn out siege, but they did not succeed. Eliot succeeded. Robert Burns, Bobby Burns, the famous Scottish poet who reawakened the Scottish national pride and awareness of their history, wrote a poem also about George Eliot, and he said that something to the effect that with Eliot to lead me, I'd walk on wooden limbs to charge the gates of hell, something like that. It's just I'd have to look that up. I don't have that one memorized, but with Eliot to lead me, I'd walk on wooden limbs, something like that. But anyway. So there have been men in history that are weird men, strange men, throughout their lives have been tasked with a certain purpose. And, I see this idea of watchfires and rescue stations around the Ozark Plateau as being something that will happen, has to happen, no question will happen. How many, I don't know, but let's say 100. It gives a whole new meaning to me and gives a prophetic meaning to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps, and around the Ozark Plateau is a river defense system, natural boundaries, natural borders. Many of them have bluffs above them, and would 100 watchfires around that circling camp of the assembly of the righteous, the remnant, be enough? I'm thinking maybe 1,000, one every mile. But anyway, I know this is all sounds crazy, sounds insane, but if you feel led to come here and you end up camping somewhere near a river or on a bluff, maybe you've been tasked with one of those search and rescue operations. So I'll give more details on that later, but upside down fire is a good way to build a good all-night fire. These chunks of wood are about, they're firewood size, so they're like 18 inches, 16 or 18 inches. Those could be 4 feet long. They could be 5 feet long, and then 4 feet long, and then 3 feet long, and then 2 feet long, and then 18 inches, and then a foot, and kindling on the top, and you light that up at about dark, and it's going to send a signal beam from a bluff for 100 miles in a lot of cases, maybe more. Build those above a safe crossing of a river, a ford, or a place where there's a ferry, a rope-operated ferry or something like that, and with winches and pulleys or whatever you might rig up. This is all in the future, I know, but I talked to a woman the other night. I told you that. A dear sister named Martha said, Jerry, it may be a lot sooner than you think. I said, you may think this may sound crazy, but I see, need for search and rescue teams and watch fires. And she goes, it may be a lot sooner than you think. And I was like, no. I could see it being fairly soon, next few years, maybe within the next year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows. I just see it. I see it. I envision it. I imagine it. I see it happening. It has to happen. It will happen. So get that into your minds and hearts and souls to be unselfish. What I'm calling the prime directives. Be unselfish. Draw a large circle around your family and bring within it many, many more than just your family. You can help enough other people. You can get what you want if by helping enough other people get what they want. The best defense in hard times is a well-fed neighbor. Make sure your neighbors are well-fed. If you need to teach them how to fish, teach them how to fish. Don't fish for them. Teach them how to fish. Teach them how to grow food. Teach them how to preserve food. Teach them how to hunt. Teach them how to go out and eat food in the wild. Teach them how to ferment food, which multiplies the enzymes instead of killing them by canning. So, just some thoughts there, words from a watchfire. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. If you're listening to this, and of course I mean really listening to us, hearing these words, if they're hitting your heart and your mind and your soul like a sledgehammer, like a ton of bricks, as they say, you are the remnant.